Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we have a Chicago Bulls preseason preview video. If you guys enjoy Bulls content, you like NBA content, I post and live stream it daily. So be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button. I got you covered for all Bulls content all season. The Chicago Bulls get the season started up tomorrow. First preseason game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Last year, 10th seed in the Eastern Conference, fallen to 31-41. I think all Bulls fans can agree this is a huge season. This is a huge season for the Bulls. We haven't been to the playoffs in so many years. No coaches have stuck around. Not too many players have stuck around. But now we have a whole new bunch of players, young players as well. We have a new coach who's about to be in his or not a new coach, but a new coach for the Bulls, about to be in his second year and a very, very pivotal season for Billy Donovan. The acquisition of Lonzo Ball in a sign-and trade, DeMar DeRozan in a sign-and trade. They picked up Derrick Jones Jr. via trade. They got Alex Caruso and Tony Bradley via free agency, and then they picked up Ayo with the 38th pick in the 2021 NBA draft. So for the last 4 or 5 years, the main issue with this team has been, are they going to be able to take that jump? And it never really seemed like they were all that eager to get that until they traded for Nikola Vucevic, gave up a couple first-round picks, gave up a couple players. At last year's trade deadline, they picked up Daniel Tice. They made some moves at last year's trade deadline, and unfortunately, Zach LaVine's COVID protocols, for some random reason, really screwed them. But, man, expectations are pretty high here in Chicago just because we want to re-sign Zach LaVine, and we want to become a big free agent destination. Like, moving forward, this is a championship-level roster. There was actually, let me read a tweet out today. I believe this is from NBA Central, but it's from an anonymous executive in the league. Here's the quote. "When I look at the East behind Milwaukee and Brooklyn, the Bulls are right there. I think they could very well end up as high as third in the conference. They have the scoring, defense, and unselfish players to become a serious contender." So I think for this preseason stint, they're obviously got to maintain health, got to stay healthy, but they're really just going to be looking for who's meshing well, who isn't meshing well. They're going to be looking at different players, different rotations, different defensive schemes, different offensive schemes. They're going to just be testing a whole bunch of different things in this preseason. The starting lineup is currently looking like, keep in mind, Patrick Williams was diagnosed with a severe ankle sprain, and he's expected to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. So we're not quite sure when he is going to be coming back. But also keep in mind, Kobe White will be making a full return at some point in most likely November as he recovers from a shoulder injury. So the current starting lineup is looking like Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams, and Nikola Vucevic. That's a top 4 team in the East, 100%. Even if there were to be a catastrophic injury, I still think this Chicago Bulls team has the proper depth. They have the proper coaching. They have the proper talent to be able to figure something out, whether it's with the limited resources they had at the time or they would go out and make some type of move. There are still some tradable guys on this roster, but we'll talk about that here in a second. The weakest link of the starting five, it has to be Patrick Williams. I've talked about this in videos. If Patrick Williams can take a leap this season, imagine Patrick Williams comes out this year and is averaging 15 points per game on efficient shooting and is still lights out defensively. It's a completely different look at the Chicago Bulls team. They would be very scary with a 15 point per game, 40% 3-point shot from Patrick Williams. Don't think that'll happen this year, but they put Patrick Williams in some tough defensive matchups last season to pretty much just get him ready for this type of season. Thankfully, it's coming right in his sophomore campaign when they could really, really lose him. We lost a bunch of players this past season to trade. Tomas Satoransky, Garrett Temple, Daniel Tice, Thaddeus Young, Alfred Aminu, Lauri Markkanen. I think the Bulls might end up still making a move to try and fill up some of that depth that they used to have towards the trade deadline. But for now, the bench unit, which is the best bench unit we have had in honestly, maybe even like the Derrick Rose era. Kobe White, Alex Caruso, Troy Brown Jr., Derrick Jones Jr., and Tony Bradley. I know name brand wise, it might not sound too crazy, but if you look at it from this perspective, you have Kobe White, who is going to be a 15-point per game scorer. Coming off the bench, that's a huge, huge energy spike. Alex Caruso is one of the best Bulls defenders on this team. He's just such a good two-way player. He shot over 40% last year with the Lakers. He can guard a lot of different positions. He can guard a lot of different very good quality players. They're going to plug and play him in different lineups. I'm sure he might actually close some games here and there. He might actually start some games here and there due to injuries or whatnot. But Alex Caruso is going to go down as one of the most underrated free agent signings of the entire offseason. Troy Brown Jr. last season he didn't really get the love he deserved. He didn't really get the attention he deserves, whether that was COVID, injuries, whatever the case may be. Troy Brown Jr. is one of our younger assets that was acquired from the Washington Wizards. Another really, really solid 3-and-D player who hopefully is going to get a better rotational spot this next season because he is a very capable player. Although he is extremely young, he is a very good defender, and he's a very good three-point shooter. Same thing with Derrick Jones Jr., extremely athletic. They could really use him. Tony Bradley, very good defensive-minded center. The only thing is, you have a little bit more depth behind that. You got DeSumo, you got Matt Thomas, Javonte Green, Stanley Johnson, Elijah Johnson. But for the most part, I really, really am looking for the Bulls to make a move because I anticipate this will be an issue in the season. Not only rebounding, but just interior defense. Our four biggest guys are our starting power forward and our starting center, and then our bench power forward and our bench center are Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic, Derrick Jones Jr., and Tony Bradley. There's just a significant drop-off from what we had last season as far as depth goes. Derrick Jones Jr. is probably better suited off playing the small forward. Tony Bradley, I'm not even sure how many minutes he's going to be looking at, but I anticipate them to make a move. I think that they will be the 4th, 5th seed for a majority of the start of the season, and then I expect them to make a move for some more front court depth at some point, and I think that's what will really lock them in at that 3 seed. I wouldn't put it past them to become either the 1st or 2nd seed in the East just based off of all the injuries the Brooklyn Nets sustained last season. Milwaukee was extremely healthy as well. You just never really know what could happen. So as long as the Bulls stay healthy in this preseason, we have a lot to look forward to. So that's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button, hit that sub button. Peace.